So the second topic of this lesson is basically different modeling or word problems that result in rational equations. We don't really actually have to solve them, we just have to write them. And the ones we're going to focus on are ones that have something to do with finding the average of something. So the first question says, on the first 3 Algebra 2 tests this quarter, you scored an 88, an 85, and a 93. If you want your overall test average to be at least 91, write an inequality which could be used to determine the range of grades you need to get the average you want. So basically, I can quickly tell that if I get 100, right, then my test average would be over 91. But what is like the breaking point that we would need? So to find an average, we know we add up the sum of the scores, and I'm going to let x be the fourth test score. So I'm going to add up the 3 I have, plus 1 that I don't know what it is. That's a total of 4 scores, so I put a 4 down here. And I want my overall test average to be greater than or equal to, because at least means 91 or more. 91. So that's how we could write this situation. Okay, a slightly more difficult one. Exercise 5, it says, so far in your baseball season, you have 12 hits out of 60 times at bat. Write an equation which could be solved to determine the number of consecutive hits you need to raise your batting average to .360. So a batting average is just number of hits out of total times at bat. So currently, and this is not necessary to find, we have 12 out of 60, which would be about .20. So that's just extra information. That's where we're at. We want to get a bunch more hits. So basically, if I do x equals the consecutive hits, and that means how many times do I have to get up in a row, like so no misses, right, and to get up to that .360. So I have the 12 I already got, plus the consecutive hits. The total would be 60, how many times I've been at bat, plus those extra times at bat. And we want that to equal .360. So here, the rest of them are multiple choice. And my prediction on the Regents is that these will just show up as multiple choice questions. So we wrote a couple of our own, and then it's just kind of like figuring out which one could work. A manufacturing plant produces 2 different size containers of peanuts. One container weighs X ounces, and another container, so we'll say container 2, weighs Y pounds. If a gift set can hold 1 of each size of container, okay, so we have a gift set, we have 1 and the other one, which expression represents the number of gift sets needed to hold 124 ounces? So basically, if I have this container, right, I'm going to have a 1 in it and a 2. And we're going to say about how much can they hold. So container 1 holds X ounces, and container 2 holds Y pounds. But everything else is in terms of ounces. So if it holds Y pounds, it holds 12Y ounces, because 1 pound is equal to 16 ounces. Okay? So I know I'm going to have something with X plus 16Y. Okay, so if I look through my answers, I'm going to cross out anything with a 16X. So then I need to figure out, basically, do I have 124 ounces and I'm splitting it up into these containers, or do I have X plus 16Y and I'm splitting it into 124s? And hopefully it makes sense that we are taking 124 ounces and we're putting a little bit of it in each container, right? So that's 124 divided by that expression. So next page, we'll hit a couple more. Julie averaged 85 on the first 3 tests of the semester in her mathematics class. If she scores 93 on each of the remaining tests, her average will be at 90. Which equation can be used to determine how many tests T are left in the semester? So she has 85 on the first 3 tests. And then she has to take some more tests. So she's taken 3 tests there. and she has to take, she's getting a 90 on the rest of them. So we're going to say T equals the number of remaining tests. So basically, if she gets a 93 on each of them, that's 93 times however many tests she takes, and dividing by how many tests she takes, she took T more tests. And our goal is to have her average be a 90 by the end, so she's trying to bring that over. So first off, I'm pretty sure that the 90 goes on the other side of the equation, right? Okay. So I wouldn't pick one of those even if I was confused about the rest of it. Looking at the difference between these two, we have a T plus 3 and a 3 times T, right? We want to take the 3 that we've taken and add on more. This, if we look at our answers, adds up to the 255 that we see in the problem, so the 3 is going to be my answer. And these are tricky. You definitely want to try them and not just listen to me, because part of it is the thought process and trying on your own and then figuring it out from there. A rush hour commuter train has arrived on time 64 of its first 80 days. As arrivals continue, which equation can be used to find X, the number of consecutive days that the train must arrive on schedule to raise its on-time performance to 90%. So this is similar to the batting average one, right? It's not the same context, right? But it's the same type of structure. So we have 64 out of 80, right? We want to know how many more consecutive days to raise it up to 90% performance rate. I could take this in, find out the current performance rate just from these two numbers, but not really necessary. So looking at the choices, they have 90 over 100, not really a problem, but this would be the answer. And the last question, it says, your family just bought a new refrigerator for $779. The annual electricity cost for the fridge is $65 per year. Write a function C of n to model the cost per year of owning the fridge over n years. So if I only own the fridge for 1 year, right, that's 779 is kind of into 1 year. But if I can make this fridge last 20 years, this number is going to get divided over the 20 years plus that amount I have to pay per year, and it's kind of worth it, right? Because the initial cost of something gets divided over the total years. So the way I represent this, I only have to pay the initial cost once, right? And then each year I pay $65 per year and its years. So if I was just trying to write how much that I paid overall for the fridge, that would be the linear equation. I want to find the cost per year, so I'm going to take that and divide by how many years I have the fridge. And that would be the equation for that one. So working through these, as I said, on your test, right, on the regions, we're expecting them to be multiple choice. So a lot of it's a back and forth between the question answers and trying to think about how I can write an average function for it.